Okay, it appears that we're live.
All right, very exciting. Is there any way to see how many people are actually watching it on YouTube?
We will have that information afterwards, but yes.
Amy, there's an echo.
Sorry about that. I think I've got it fixed. That was my fault. But we are live, so we're ready to get started.
Okay, Mr. Allen.
Welcome to the 2024 Ferguson City Council Candidate Forum, presented on behalf of the Ferguson Neighborhood Associations through the facilities of the Ferguson Public Library. This evening's forum will be moderated and timed by the League of Women Voters. We're deeply grateful to both the League and the library for making this event possible. Now I'll turn it over to the evening to the moderator, Louise Will.
Okay, good evening. Hi, I'm Louise Wilkerson from the League of Women Voters of Metro St. Louis. The League of Women Voters of Metro St. Louis is a nonpartisan educational organization. It does not support candidates or political parties. However, it does advocate for and it works against certain issues that might be on the ballot. The League was founded in 1919 to educate and empower voters, and it's supported by tax-deductible contributions from members, corporations, foundations, and individuals. And by the way, the League welcomes guys. It's no longer a women only organization. So we welcome guys, and we certainly would welcome any contributions that members of the public might want to make. So we're very pleased to be able to facilitate this candidate forum this evening for positions on the council for the Ferguson City Council. I'm just going to go over some of the ground rules a little bit, and then we'll introduce the candidates. The ground rules hold that the candidates will have 2 minutes each for an opening statement. They will have 1 minute to answer each question. They will be given an opportunity to answer all questions that are posed. And then they will have 2 minutes each for a closing statement. This is not a debate, nor is it a rally. The candidates are going to answer questions to the audience. So they are talking to the audience. And by the way, questions were submitted in advance. And so the League got those questions, and I have them. Now, the questions and the League reserves the right to select the questions and to combine questions that are similar in nature. The moderator has selected questions which would be of general interest and not about personal matters. The League believes that forums should cover issues, not personalities. Now, I, as moderator, will explain the ground rules, which I just did. I'll introduce the candidates, and I'll read to the candidates the questions submitted by members of the audience. And I will enforce the ground rules. Now, we also have another important person, and that person is the timekeeper. And tonight, our timekeeper is Yvette Kell. And you see her on your screen there waving. She will time all opening and closing statements. She will time candidate answers to questions, allowing 1 minute per response. She will indicate 30 seconds time remaining with the yellow sign. See there, it says 30 seconds very clearly. And then she will indicate time expired with the red stop sign. Okay. So I think those are the ground rules, and they have been, I hope they are very clear. Before I introduce the candidates, I just want to do a little, I would say, advocacy, if you will. To all those listening and participating, remember your vote matters. Voting is your chance to show that you care about your community, state, and country. And voting is a way for you to have some control over the governmental decisions that affect your family, friends, and community. Your vote can influence the taxes taken out of your paycheck, the air you breathe, and the education you and your children receive. Many elections, especially local ones, are decided by only a handful of voters. So I want to urge everyone to come out and vote in the municipal elections on April 2nd. And then next, the primary election that will be August 6th, 2024, and certainly the general election November 5th, 2024. And as you all know, this is an extremely important year, right? Right. So do not forget those elections. Okay. We want to thank Mr. Rick Allen, president of the Jusky Park Neighborhood Association, for organizing this forum. And also we want to thank Scott Bonner and Amy Randazzo of the Ferguson Library. We also want to thank Barbara Harris of the League of Women Voters, and also, of course, Yvette Kell, who's going to be our timekeeper. Now, to introduce the candidates, candidates, when I say your name, I want you to wave or do something to draw attention to yourself. Okay, so I have them listed according to the way they were given to me. Starting with Ward 1, we have PHEDRA Nelson.
PHEDRA Nelson. I'm here.
Say it again.
PHEDRA Nelson.
PHEDRA. Okay, thank you. All right, as she's running for a seat on the council to represent Ward 1. David Williams.
Hi.
Oh,
Can you
there
hear
he
me?
is. Okay. He's also running for a seat to represent Ward 1. For Ward 2, Blake ASHBY. All right. For Ward 2, Erica Brooks.
Louise, Erica had to drop off real quick. She's having some problem with her audio, but she will hopefully be back soon.
She'll be okay. Great. I'm looking forward to her. Oh, there she is. Okay, if she comes back in a minute, I'll have her wave. JAMIL Franklin.
Good evening.
Ward 2. Also for Ward 2, Nick KASOFF.
Good evening.
Did I pronounce that correctly, sir?
You did, and that's a first. Now, can you spell it right? That's the question.
Well, KASOFF.
Okay, you get the gold star for the evening, Louise.
All right. Well, I cheated a little bit, but thank you. Okay, and for Ward 3, LAMIKA Covington.
Hello.
Hi, LAMIKA. There she is. And I see she has Mika Covington. Is that what you prefer, Mika?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll try to remember that. And then NAQUITTIA Noah, did I pronounce that for me?
NAQUITTIA Noah. Hi.
NAQUITTIA Noah, and she says hi. Let's see. Did Erica Brooks get back on successfully? Ooh, not. Oh, there she is. Okay, wave again, Erica Brooks for Ward 2. Okay, great. All right, let's launch into the questions. We will try to circulate who goes first and who goes last, and I have a system to do that so that the same person isn't always last or first. Okay, so we'll start with PHEDRA, Ms. PHEDRA Nelson. 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is PHEDRA Nelson, and I currently serve as Councilwoman of Ward 1. And of course, I'm running for re-election, and been a resident of the city of Ferguson for 23 years. I'm proud to call Ferguson my hometown. In the past 3 years that I've been on council, we've made some progress, including needed street repairs, improved safety for seniors and residents, and increased enforcement on housing codes and reducing nuisance properties, and been very active with the neighborhood association meetings for our constituents to keep that open line of communication. I believe in building relationships that collaborate and benefit for everyone in the community. We can show this community that others in Ferguson and embrace the skills and talents of all of our citizens. As a community united, we can continue to move forward. I'm proud, again, to call Ferguson my home. 23 years. Everyone deserves a fair opportunity at success, no matter who they are. My vision for Ferguson continues to be a city that appeals to all spectrums of the population. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Mr. David Williams.
Can you repeat the question and can you hear my volume?
I can hear you. It wasn't a question. You have 2 minutes to give an opening statement. Just whatever you'd like to share. 2 minutes.
Okay. My name is David Williams. I've been in Ferguson for about 1.5 years. As you can see, I'm currently at work. I own Williams Academy. It's a daycare, after-school summer camp and tutorial, and we deal with the underserved population. We're located on Natural Bridge, a few miles from UMSL. Prior to that, I was a software engineer with Boeing for 5 years. I come from a background of educators, and what I want to do in Ferguson, I want to reduce the crime in Ferguson by helping the underserved youth. And I want to do that by using the community center to do extra summer camps, tutorials, midnight basketball, and things of that nature. You can't break in a car if you're playing basketball to 1 or 2 in the morning. And I think all problems that Ferguson faces are us dealing with the youth. So it's my lifelong mission to try to help these young people cut off the prison pipeline, send these young folks to college or some type of trade, and so they will be a tax-producing citizen instead of being a burden on the tax system. So it's not really about me. It's about helping these kids, which will better enhance the life of every citizen in Ferguson. We can get this crime down, but we have to help. We have to help the kids. And when we do get the crime down and they're tax-paying citizens, we'll have the money in the coffers to fix the roads and the infrastructure that most people really want done in Ferguson.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Blake Ashby.
Very much. I wanted to say thank you to the library and to the Chesapeake Park Association and certainly the League of Women Voters. And also thank you to all the voters who are listening in tonight. One of the great things about Ferguson is that so many people care about our city and take the time to learn about it. I was actually appointed to an open seat about a year ago. When I was appointed, I told everybody I wouldn't be part of any faction. I would look at every issue individually and do what I thought was best for Ferguson, and wherever possible, try and push for consensus. There is something called productive disagreement. It's actually good to have different voices and different ideas in the room. Productive disagreement, though, allows us to have a conversation and find common ground and find consensus. And because we were able to find consensus over the last year, we've had some great progress. We've hired a great new city manager, John Hampton. John Hampton hired a great new police chief, Troy Doyle. We've gone from 49% staffing on the police department to almost 80% staffing. We are on track to be fully staffed by the end of the year. With the extra police, we're starting to make progress on both traffic safety and public safety, and finally starting to crack down and deal with the crime in the neighborhoods and the car break-ins. We are doing things like putting speed humps on the residential roads, spending every dollar we can on road repair and construction, and really just wherever possible, trying to make our city better. Everybody wants there to be a grand answer. You just do this one thing and it fixes it. But the reality is that progress is actually the result of hundreds of smaller decisions and smaller progresses. And one of the nice things about our city right now is we actually have turned the corner. We are making progress on almost every front. Ferguson is a greatly different city now than it was a year ago. And that is to a large degree because the city council has been able to achieve consensus through productive disagreement and give our city manager the support and guidance he needs to be able to do his job.
Thank you very much. Ms. Erica Brooks.
Good evening. I want to thank, as everyone said, the League of Women Voters, the Ferguson Public Municipal Library, as well as Jesky Park for allowing us to have this opportunity to express our feelings for our community here in Ferguson, Missouri. I'm a 12-year resident. This is my second time running or campaigning to be a public servant. I'm a mother of two, and it's always been my mission throughout my time of being a public servant, also having my own business as a freelance media photographer, to capture, not only just capture history, but be a part of history to the point where we have a voice for the people in our community. As I've been here throughout the time in Ferguson, and it's almost 10 years since the unrest in 2014, I've learned, I've experienced, I've listened, and I've executed the things that it took in order to be that change that Ferguson wanted to see. My son and I were the grassroots organizers to maintain our bus service, which brought economics to the city of Ferguson to the point where we maintain the economy in Ferguson, where people kept their jobs. We helped to improve the streets, the infrastructure, as well as bring about street calming methods and provide safe and designated areas for people to actually stand for buses. I actually went out and campaigned and petitioned to be able to get other streets improved. I've been out as an educator. I'm a certified substitute teacher. I've been a coach. I've been a volunteer parent in the school system. I've reached out to the community and I've heard their concerns. And right now, I feel it's my time to be able to be that voice in our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. JAMIL Franklin.
Good evening. I'm JAMIL Franklin. I'm running for City Council here in Ward 2. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to our moderators, Jesky Park Neighborhood Association, and I also want to thank my fellow candidates for showing up this evening and giving the voters an opportunity to hear our platforms and where we stand on the different issues. Just to start off and give you a little bit of background about who I am. I am a proud product of the St. Louis region. I grew up in the city of St. Louis, and I attended and graduated from Cardinal Ritter College Preparatory High School back in 1998. Went on to Talladega College. It's an HBCU located in Alabama, and graduated with a degree in biology pre-med with a minor in computer science. Decided I didn't want to go to med school, so I went to grad school and got a master's in public administration with a concentration in environmental science. So I returned to the St. Louis area back in 2005, started my career in public service, started off working for the Department of Mental Health, and then spent the last 16 years working for St. Louis County government. I actually work for St. Louis County Health Department here now, which is less than a few miles from Ferguson. Actually moved to Ferguson. I've been here now close to 8 years. My wife and I, we actually got married in our backyard. We live over on Church Street. Father of 3 girls. And I decided to run for office just because of the dysfunction I saw during COVID with our council, individuals not being able to work for the greater good. So I felt like, based off of my educational background and my professional background, that I would be a good fit to bridge and bring people together and move our city in the proper direction. I also feel like I'm a great communicator, and I'm able to reach out to the various demographics in our city and the various communities. You know, Ward 2 is a large area, and we've got different problems throughout that area. I think I'm best suited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Nick KASOFF.
Good evening. As a resident of Ferguson, I've always tried to do my part to make our community the best it can be. A few years back, I started the Ferguson Observer, reporting on city government and big events. When a critical Facebook group that connected residents quit working, I started I Care About Ferguson, which is probably where you found out about this forum tonight. When City Council was falling apart and our city manager was at risk because of one rogue member, I led a recall which 70% of Ward 2 voters supported. And last year I ran for mayor, falling just 23 votes short and winning Ward 2 by a solid margin. Now, with the support of 3 members of council and working alongside candidates in the other 2 wards, I'm running for city council. These days, I'm known as the guy who fixes things. Every week, often several times a week, I'm contacted by a resident facing frustration. I've dealt with a flooded yard, dangerous street problems, dumping, trouble with inspections and occupancy permits, and even a stalking victim who wasn't getting response from the police. I always respond, and I work with city staff to get things done. As your next council member, I will continue that tradition of service, and I'll work to craft a city government that isn't so frustrating in the future. I've got solid plans to finish the consent decree, improve public safety, and if I'm elected, we'll clear the log jam of work that City Council just can't manage to get done. I look forward to discussing details of these things as we address your questions during this forum. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. KASOFF. All right, Ms. Mika Covington is next.
Hello, my name's LAMIKA Covington, but I go by Mika Covington. I am a proud parent of 2 children. One's 20, one's 18. I am basically running because I'm the type of person that you can't complain if you're not trying to make change. So I decided that I'll be an empty nester soon, so I can devote my time and energy on Ferguson. Not that I was not doing that before. We moved here in 2015. And since we've been in Ferguson, I have been a volunteer in some form or shape in Ferguson. So running for Ward 3 is my other way of trying to help and make Ferguson better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And last but not least, Ms. NAQUITTIA Noah.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkerson. Yes, hello, Ferguson. I'm Councilwoman NAQUITTIA Noah, representing and serving Ward 3 Ferguson. I am a McClure Comet. I am a St. Louis Community College Archer and a Harris Stowe Hornet. I am a resident of Ferguson who has roots that stem from Kinloch and Berkeley. I'm the council liaison for the Ferguson Human Rights Commission and the Ferguson Park and Recreation Board. I'm dedicated. I provide leadership and vision to Ward 3 Ferguson residents. Let's continue the progress in motion. Infrastructure repairs are happening now. Public safety, we are increasing with the leadership of our police chief, we're increasing our police staff. We're increasing FPD patrols in Ward 3 Ferguson, crime prevention housing programs in our apartment complexes, continuing to promote and grow our business community in Ferguson. Looking forward to seeing affordable and senior housing development, home ownership programs, supporting our city manager and staff because they need our support. Resident engagement, attending the neighborhood association meetings, youth and senior engagement, and lastly, the re-election of Councilwoman NAQUITTIA Noah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to our questions, and we will start with Ms. PHEDRA Nelson. Ms. Nelson, one resident said, quote, "It is no secret that our city council has been divided for years. What will you do to foster civil debate, communication, and compromise in decision-making on the council?"
Well, I'll continue to be a team player. I mean, I want to see, as well as anyone, that the council and we all work together. I think us being a team and working together and being collaborative on events, different programs, different with the fire department, police department, with our constituents, with the neighborhood association communities, we should all be working together and continue that passiveness as we work together. I think that people do tend to see a difference in us when we are being divided. And we need to always make sure that we're working together and being together on one accord and helping to make the city grow and be better.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on, same question. Mr. Williams, I'll repeat the question. And the resident wrote, "It is no secret that our city council has been divided for years. What will you do to foster civil debate, communication, and compromise in decision-making on the council?"
Well, I've only been here about a year and a half, so I don't know or have much history of what's going on in the past with the council. But by me being an engineer, my background is problem solving. So I want to do what's best for Ferguson because I live here. The asset that we all have that is our greatest asset is our property. We want that property value to grow so we can pass that on to the next generation. If the crime keeps elevating in Ferguson, everybody's property value, which is your most expensive asset, is going to go down. So I want to do what's best for Ferguson, which is in turn best for my property value and everybody else's property value. So I'm an engineer, so I go through the method of what's logical. And if it's logical for the people, I'm for it. And if I do make
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's a minute. Let's move on to Mr. Ashby. Same question.
Great question. You know, it's funny, when I was appointed to the council a year ago, and I just said this, I actually made a point to say that I would not be part of any faction, and I would look at everything individually and try and figure out what I thought was best for Ferguson. And we need to be clear, right? It's actually good to have different viewpoints on the council. It's good to have different perspectives. There's something called productive disagreement, which is when people are able to present their viewpoints, present their ideas on things, and working together, we can actually find common ground. Sometimes the process takes longer. Sometimes, it's hard. But at the end of the day, we have managed to find common ground on most of the important issues facing our city over the last year. We were unanimous in how we chose the process for hiring John Hampton. We were unanimous in hiring John Hampton. And on almost every important vote, it has been unanimous. We have managed to find common ground over the last year because I truly believe more unites us than divides us. I truly believe if it doesn't work for everybody, it doesn't work for anybody.
Thank you very much. Okay, Miss Brooks.
Yes, I think that over the past 10 years, the purpose of the consent decree should help us to focus and understand that there needs to be one vision and one method to be able to work together as a team. And the consent decree in itself should tell you that you shouldn't need a moderator, you should need an overseer, you shouldn't need anybody else, any external factor to be able to help you understand how to treat people the way you want to be treated. And when you actually come together as adults to understand your purpose and your vision and of why you're there in that position as a city council member, people will find that common ground to find the answer for our community.
Thank you very much. Mr. Franklin.
Yes, ma'am. So for me, it starts with being respectful to one another. You know, when we're you know, communicating and we're debating. So the first thing, it starts with respect, decency, and professionalism. You know, and remember that, you know, the city of Ferguson is watching all of us. So, you know, people are less likely to engage and be involved if they see chaos and disruption. So we need to remember that we're examples of what we want our city to be as a whole. So that's what I would bring to the board. Also, I would focus on fact-based evidence, you know, basically meaning if it works in Florissant, let's try it in Ferguson. And it's based off of not my personal opinion, but what has been proven with empirical data. And lastly, I would make sure to include our constituents. You know, this seat doesn't belong to the individual that wins the election. It belongs to the constituents that put us in office. So when in doubt, I always say, call on the people to see which direction they want us to operate as a council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. KASOFF.
Well, as the book of Proverbs says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And I believe the chief duty of legislators when we don't agree is that everyone should do their homework, bring their A game, and have a public discussion based on facts to come to a conclusion about what's best for the community. Now, the problem is council right now doesn't have constructive disagreement. It has paralytic disagreement. That's why, for the first time ever, council has half a page of tabled items, and council's just not getting their work done. So we're going to get back to constructive disagreement and hopefully some constructive agreement too. We're going to move the agenda forward for Ferguson and really get things done on council. I'm ready to work with everybody on council to make that happen.
Very good. Thank you. Miss Covington.
Hello. So okay. All right. So to me, this is quite an easy question. All of us are parents. So it involves communication, listening, being able to disagree, but come to an agreement. I feel like as long as you are a team player and you're willing to give a little bit and take a little bit, we can all make Ferguson great.
Okay. Miss Noah.
Would you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So the resident wrote, and I quote, "It is no secret that our city council has been divided for years. What will you do to foster civil debate, communication, and compromise in decision-making on the council?"
Okay, thank you. Actually, what I'm doing now, I listen to my council counterparts. You know, everyone has an opinion, and it's important that we listen to each other. Everyone has the right to voice their concern, why they feel the way they feel. But ultimately, we all get a vote, you know, and that's what it boils down to. And we all may not vote the same, but that's why we all get a vote. So that doesn't mean that we don't respect each other. That doesn't mean that we don't get along, but this is why we live in a democracy. And so we listen to each other, but we have been unanimous on many decisions, many resolutions and bills. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll start with Mr. Williams on this question. Mr. Williams will go first. And the question is, what is the most pressing need in Ferguson that the city government should address?
The crime. It's unfortunate that most of the crime being committed in Ferguson or by young Black men. And, you know, I might sound like a broken record, but I want to reach these young men before it spirals out of control. I've been knocking on a lot of doors. Long-term residents are scared to walk at night. She says, one resident said, I used to walk my dog at 10 o'clock at night. I don't do that anymore. So basically what you have, Ferguson used to be a suburban neighborhood. It's turning urban, but I think we're on the right track. By the end of the year, we'll have enough police officers. The new police chief means business. And so we're going on the right track, but you want to feel safe in your home and your community. So I think we need to focus on the crime and help these young people be productive citizens and put into this tax base. Everybody's talking
okay.
infrastructure.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Ashby, same question. What is the most pressing need in Ferguson that the city government should address?
Right, and high on that list is public safety. We have to have our police department fully staffed this year. We have to achieve that, and Chief Doyle is doing a great job on that. As part of that, we're getting ready to launch the Ferguson Safe Streets Initiative, our new neighborhood watch. That will include a residential camera program to give the police more eyes and ears. We're getting ready to be part of the Flock countywide neighborhood license plate reader system. So really just in lots of different ways, we are focusing on public safety and on trying to give our police the tools they need to make sure they can keep us safe. But we also need to be aware of the role of the council is to support the city manager, not tell the city manager what to do. And it's easy to scapegoat and say one council person, caused the last city manager to leave. That is not accurate. It was pressure from several city council people and residents that caused that to happen. And there are bills in the parking lot because the city manager has asked us to pause those bills. We do not need to be forcing the city manager to do things that he does not believe is right for this time.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Moving on, Ms. Brooks.
I feel that public safety, as everyone is saying, is a huge concern because as I'm knocking on doors and as I live in Ferguson, you hear a lot of shooting. And we depend on the spot shotter a lot, but the thing about it is how effective is that and how, can we get more devices to be able to get an accurate location of where the shooting is coming from? Like I said, the crime is going up. I hear about people breaking in cars and, we need more lighting. We need more cameras. We need, like Blake was saying, we need more staffing to make sure that the police are able to get to those locations and find the people that are committing the crimes so that we can have a safer neighborhood. They have an incentive program for people to be able to refer people to be police officers. And I think that's a huge factor in getting the people that want to be here in Ferguson to protect us and serve us to have a safer community.
Thank you. Mr. Franklin.
Yes, ma'am. I would say diversity, equity, and inclusion, and public safety, believe it or not, actually falls under that umbrella. Since I've been campaigning and walking across the 2,000 plus households in my ward, I've seen a vast difference in just the way the city looks east of Florissant versus west. And if we want things to get better, we have to make sure that we include all communities, all demographics of people that live here in our city and make them priority. We need residents to buy into whatever it is the council is putting forward. We can hire 100 more police officers, but if we don't have buy-in from the community, they're just going to be busy making arrests and responding to, calls, and so definitely an inclusion.
Okay, you kind of tailed off there at the end, but I'm assuming you finished your
Oh yeah, I'm
answer.
sorry about that. My signal kind of
Okay.
faded, but yes, ma'am. I'm
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Mr. KASOFF.
Well, it's all about quality of life. I just found out yesterday that another lifelong resident and business person in Ferguson has sold his home and is leaving. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of that. When you've got streets that are falling apart, you listen to gunfire at night, you've got city hall staff that aren't always as responsive as we've liked. The parks don't look like they did 10 or 15 years ago. It all adds up, and this drip, drip, drip drives people away from Ferguson. We need good residents, we need good city services, and yeah, public safety is an important part of that. But I think we make a big mistake thinking that we can somehow police our way into being a great place to live again, because it's so much more than that.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, Ms. Covington.
Hello, and like many others have said, I would say safety, and it might be high up on mine because I am a single person, so I do a lot of things on my own, and I'm out by myself a lot. I have noticed the difference in the last few months of seeing more police over in Ward 3. When I first moved over here, I did not see a lot of patrol over here. When I was in I lived in Ward 2 and Ward 1. I saw a difference in how often I saw the police. So, but I have been seeing difference in it, but I would say safety.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Noah.
Yes, would you repeat the question?
What is the most pressing need that city government should address?
Well, the most pressing need we have met, and that's hiring the proper leads, our Chief Hampton and Chief Doyle. We have to allow them time. We have to allow them time to recruit efficient and effective staff. Ferguson has been through a lot through the past years, and it's not going to happen overnight. We're at a place now where the momentum is here, and progression does take time, and small progress is progress. We are, as a government, rolling out initiatives. We are recruiting, as Blake mentioned, the Ferguson Safer Streets initiative. We have to allow our leaders time to implement change in our city. And I also agree with the inclusion and the engagement, which includes educating our residents so they can be a part of the conversation. Many times a lot of residents aren't engaged, and it's our responsibility to keep them engaged.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move on to I guess it's the third or fourth question. And we'll start with Mr. Ashby. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. Got to give Miss PHEDRA Nelson.
I was going to say, Miss Louise, you forgot about me.
Yeah, I sure did. Just for a minute, though. Then I remembered. Okay.
So
you're on.
Thanks, Miss Louise. Not to piggyback off of kind of what everybody's already touched on, but public safety is definitely a big one. Our infrastructure is definitely a big one. Lighting is definitely a big one. Resident buy-in is key. And then I'd like to see more resident buy-in and more residents be on our boards and commissions and having their voices heard and said. And that's a big key, because a lot of the times our residents aren't educated on everything that's going on in their city, and they need to know. Just enough for us to not just be going to our neighborhood association meetings and making sure we have that communication with our residents, but they also need to be important on it, be a board of it. So it's good if they are part of that. I've definitely seen a lot of police presence increased within the city, and it shouldn't matter what ward you live in order to have that police presence. I think we got to continue to educate our residents, and we just got to give, like Councilwoman Noah said, give our staff time to get it right, to get it done, to get things in order. Just takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the next question. In your opinion, what amendments are needed to the Ferguson City Charter? Mr. Ashby.
We actually had a charter commission a while ago that spent some time looking at that. And any form of government you choose has its advantages and disadvantages. We have something called a city manager form of government. And, thankfully, we have the right city manager in place, John Hampton. So really, as I look at our charter, I'm not sure that we need to make major changes in our direction. I think we should consider ourselves lucky that we were able to manage to recruit and hire John Hampton. And really, the role of the council is not to micromanage John Hampton, not to tell him how to do his job, is to support John Hampton and and when he identifies an issue for us to deal with that. And I really think we've done a pretty good job of giving him support and giving him the tools, but not getting in his way. We have the right person in place right now. We have the right two people. We need to let them do their jobs. We need to not micromanage them and let the city manager do the job he was hired to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Brooks.
All right, so as I was at city council meetings, various people talked about changing the charter, and I think there's some things dealing with housing that should be changed because, like I said, when it comes to the amount of derelict houses, the amount of houses that are on the demolition list, the different things that it takes in order to make sure that the actual homeowners that don't live here and do live here follow what needs to be followed in order to make sure that our community has a vibrant neighborhood and not just blighted areas. I think that there should be more code and ordinances that deal with being more stern on people that take time out to buy property in Ferguson and don't maintain it, but leave us in situations to where we have more vegetation, more derelict homes. Just, it's not a life worth living in our neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Mr. Franklin.
Yes, ma'am. So I would say our city charter as it is, it's in decent shape. I don't see any need to make any critical changes. Again, if there are ever recommendations, we can, follow up at that point to decide if we actually need to change. I think what we need to do more than anything else is make sure that we are enforcing the terms of the charter. There are certain rules and regulations that, just to be honest, not everybody follows the rules. And when we turn a blind eye to rule breakers, especially when they are part of, city operations or the council itself, we lose credibility, we lose integrity in the eyes of our community. So that would be my focus, is making sure that the charter is upheld and enforced. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. KASOFF.
Well, I'm the only person in this meeting tonight who has actually changed the charter. Back in 2017, I chaired a commission that put a ballot initiative out there to enshrine in our city's charter the requirement to have police body cameras. Because after the events of 2014, I never again wanted there to be a situation where it was a he said, she said after there were some sort of situation between police and residents. So we put that on the ballot in 2017, and over 70% of Ferguson voters supported it. As far as the charter goes today, I think it's pretty good. I wouldn't support a charter commission, and I definitely wouldn't support moving to a strong mayor over the professional city manager system that we have in place right now.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Covington.
Hello. Okay, so it's gonna sound like I'm repeating Mr. Franklin. Right now, I think the charter is fine. We just gotta, the rules that we put in place have to be followed. One thing I've noticed is that things are made rules and then they don't stand by them. They don't back them up. So I figure if we just stand by what we say and do what we're gonna do, everything will be fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Noah.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yes, I do respect the council manager form of government. I do believe that enforcement is going to become better, as we continue to develop our code enforcement, our community development and planning department. However, I would support a charter commission. I definitely would, because some things are outdated and they need to be revisited and revised. This is 2024, so we can better serve our residents and our business community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nelson.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with Councilwoman Noah. I would definitely like to see a charter commission. And like she stated, a lot of things in the charter are outdated and they do need to be looked at regarding our residents. And again, it is 2024. Things have changed. A lot of things have changed. So I think looking at the charter wouldn't hurt any of us to take a look at the charter and make sure that it's a benefit for everyone, regardless of what ward they live in. There needs to be benefits for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams.
Well, honestly, that question is not specific enough. I think they needed to point to a particular piece of the charter they had a problem with. But I would have to actually see what issue that they have a problem with. But the thing that makes Ferguson government unique is we have a city manager, and the mayor is not the figurehead. They're just the head of the city council. And I think by us having this unique system, it separates the powers where no one person has too much power, kind of like three branches of government, separate but equal. So I like our Ferguson government. It's unique and I think it works. I mean, we had some problems in the past, but we're different from the other 90 municipalities in St. Louis County. And I think it works.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, we'll start out with Miss Brooks. And one resident wrote in a question. Well, first there was a statement, and it goes this way. Ferguson was recently cited as a food desert by a local media outlet. Do you agree with this assessment? And if so, what should the city council do to help change the situation?
I do agree with that because I've gone to various, I'm going to say, for example, Snooks. The food that is served there is not a healthy situation. And we don't have, we have like Save-A-Lot, we have Aldi's, but when it comes to nutritious food that's to the point where we don't have high blood pressure, we're not, that they're not advocating, unhealthy eating or whatever. We need more outlets to be able to serve us at a reasonable price and also something that's going to promote healthy eating and healthy living. I know other Snooks and other communities do have healthy foods. They have various choices according to ethnic backgrounds. And I think that we need more choices, more places to be able to shop for healthy foods. And our school systems need to advocate for healthy eating because I know my son was at Central, they had healthy eating because Ms. Obama was in office and she promoted healthy eating, but now
Okay.
they don't.
Thank you very much. Mr. Franklin. the same question about what should the city council do to help change the food desert situation. That's if you agree with that assessment.
Right. So by definition, a food desert isn't just a community that does not have access to food, because there's a lot of food in our community, from grocery stores to fast food to we even have community gardens. But it's about the quality of food that's on your shelves. So one issue that Ferguson faces is that we do have, when you compare our Schnucks to, say, Schnucks on Clayton Road, it's night and day. The produce isn't as fresh. You don't have as many options. We don't have the higher end grocers like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. And part of that is, how do we attract those big box stores to come to Ferguson? And part of that is, as I said earlier, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have to have buy-in from the community. We have to make our community a place where they'll come in because they know there'll be support from those individuals that live in those communities. So as council member, that's what I'll be working with fellow council members and the other neighboring.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. KASOFF, same question.
Well, first of all, food desert is something that has a specific definition, and Ferguson does not fit that definition. There are some areas where it's harder to get to a grocery store, but we are not a food desert. That being said, I agree, access to good quality food is important, but people have to want it. I used to volunteer in a large food pantry over in Jennings before they closed, and we would get from the North County grocery stores the best stuff, organic things, really high-end stuff. Not only didn't it sell in the stores, we couldn't give that stuff away in the pantries. If it said organic on the can, people walked right by it. So if we talk about healthy eating, we got to take a step back and talk about education and culture, and that's nothing to do with opening a Trader Joe's. We'll never get a Trader Joe's in Ferguson until we have Trader Joe's customers, and that, my friends, we do not have at this time.
Oh, okay, thank you. Ms. Covington.
So I'm gonna say that we have the farmers market. So if you're looking for fresh fruit or fresh vegetables, you do have that option. I would say not going in the grocery stores, I would get, the best fruit there is if I was going to one of the ones in Clayton. But I do think we have a small option of getting that fresh groceries that we want. Probably not as much as people would like, but I wouldn't call it a desert necessary.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Noah.
Thank you. Well, it is about access and definitely quality. And our Schnucks doesn't have the quality that we see in Brentwood or Clayton. However, if you go on West Florissant, we have no grocery store in Ferguson on West Florissant. Southeast Ferguson, now there's a Schnucks and Jennings, and again, it goes back to access. People who don't have cars, they don't have access to not even the Schnucks in Ferguson or the Schnucks and Jennings if they live in Southeast Ferguson. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, it is a food desert. And I'm not talking about a corner store where you can buy chips and goodies. I'm talking about being able to go to the grocery store and buy food to make a meal. And our neighbors in Southeast Ferguson do not have that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nelson.
I'm sorry, thank you. I'll have to disagree with Mr. KASOFF a little bit. Ferguson is a food desert, if you understand what food desert is. And a food desert is an area that has limited resources to healthy and nutritious food and access to affordable food. And that definitely is in Ferguson. And we have to help come up with other resources besides being able to, in the past, been able to do food drives, produce food drives for the entire summer for the community of Ferguson. Brought the Metro Market bus here to Ferguson on several occasions. It's been in Ferguson several years. So, I mean, we have to come up with other resources, but we definitely are a food desert. And just our Schnucks and our Aldis is not enough. We don't have a Save-A-Lot, so we need more. And I'm not saying that it should be a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, but we need more.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams.
I would not say that we're a food desert, but I do agree that healthier foods could be in the grocery store. I've been a vegetarian all of my adult life. And when I bought a lot of things for Sam's for the business, our enrollment, we have space for 192 students. A lot of times there wasn't a lot of the fresh strawberries and things that I was looking for, but these people are in business. They're going to sell what people will buy. Like Sam's is not going to buy a truck full of asparagus. Nobody's going to buy it. They're going to lose money. So what Nick was saying is actually right. They're going to sell what people buy. Like, I like organic, but a lot of people might not like that. And so these food items are perishable. So they're not going to spend a lot of money on stuff that people are not going to buy. It's capitalism. It makes no sense. So what council can do is maybe give some of these companies a tax incentive to come and set up shop.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Ashby.
So when that phrase appeared in the article, I have to say I took exception to it just a little bit. We actually absolutely have areas of Ferguson that are less served and others that are better served. But the reality of a grocery store is most grocery stores draw from a 3 to 5 mile radius, and virtually nobody in St. Louis walks to the grocery store and then walks back with their groceries. So in areas where you don't have public transportation or there's a lower prevalence of ownership of autos, absolutely that's more of a challenge for those people. But we should also recognize that, we do have options here in Ferguson, and we've got a great farm here in Ferguson. We've got the farmers market. So, absolutely we need to do things to improve access in parts of our city, but we should also recognize that in many ways we're blessed to have Earth Dance, we're blessed to have the market, we're blessed to have the different restaurants we have. I mean, we actually have a lot of options for food. Mark, agreed, you might have to drive to them, but at the end of the day, we are not a food desert. We're an area with
Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question, and we'll start with Mr. Franklin. And the question is, will you support a state audit of the city of Ferguson? Why or why not?
So I guess for me personally, if we need one, like I'm unaware that we need a state audit at this time. I would imagine that the city can do its own internal audit, or we can, if the powers to be deemed that we need a third party, then sure, we can reach out to the state. But I have not heard of many claims of mismanagement of funds as it relates to the city currently. So as of today, I would say no. With more information, potentially. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. KASOFF.
Well, I've supported a state audit for years, and we will be getting a state audit. Let's make something clear about state audits. First of all, they're not just looking for people stealing money. I don't think there's anybody stealing money from Ferguson right now, although I found a contractor overbilling the city for thousands of dollars a month just last year. We blew the whistle in the Ferguson Observer. The contractor was fired, and the city employee that was working with him was also fired. But the state auditor is a procedural audit. She looks to make sure that the procedures are in place. So the city audit, which we have one every year, he makes sure that the columns in the books add up and that the bank statement matches the other paperwork. The state auditor comes in, she looks at policies and procedures and adherence to state law, and we absolutely need that. I will support it on council, and I support it as a resident.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Covington.
So, I would say yes, only because I work in the tax department and I don't see a problem with getting audited every once in a while. Not saying that Ferguson has done anything wrong. It could just be a process that you go through. So I'm not saying that something has been done wrong in Ferguson, but I think it's a good process. And like I said, I work in the tax department, so I would probably never say no to an audit.
All righty. Ms. Noah.
Yes, definitely. I will support an audit with an understanding that the residents follow the petition process and procedures for that initiation. But yes.
Okay. Ms. Nelson. Ms. Nelson.
I'm sorry, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Just clicking too many times. I would definitely support an audit to make sure that all ducks are in a row, everything lines up regarding policy procedures, how things have run in the past, and now. So I would definitely support an audit.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
No, I don't think we need an audit right now. We already got the federal government in our business. Let's get past this consent decree. I'm not saying no to an audit. I'm saying no right now because of Ferguson is a great place to live, but because of past transgressions, it's a red flag on us. So no, we don't need any more government involved in local politics. Let's get past this consent decree. Let's get our stuff straight, and then maybe an audit later on. But I would not want the state and the federal government in our business. I just think we need more transparency so the citizens see what's going on. But I'm not saying no. I'm saying no right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ashby.
Ferguson is audited every year by a third-party accounting firm. Every year. We do not need another state audit. We do not need people getting in there and mucking around and trying to do what they do as a state audit. The reality is that we have had significant turnover in staff, significant turnover in procedures, and City Manager John Hampton is just now putting his people in place. They're just now putting their procedures in place. They are just now doing what needs to be done for our city. So to do a state audit right now, all they're going to do is come in and say, hey, 3 years ago, you had bad procedures. We need to stop piling stuff on City Manager John Hampton. We need to give him just the breath to get his people in place, and we need to allow him to do his job. We need to stop assuming that things are corrupt in Ferguson. And again, give the city manager time to do his job. Give the staff time to do their jobs. We do not need to waste the money on a state audit at this point. Maybe in 3 years from now, it's a different story, but not now.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Brooks.
I do believe that we need a state audit. Like you said, due to policies and procedures that have been followed in the past. Even just listening to the economic development sales tax meetings where there was misunderstandings, there was disagreements. People wanted to push the paperwork through without allowing the chairperson to even understand what was needed to be done in order for the paperwork to be sent to the state and say, hey, we didn't have our things in order back then, but we have in order now. I think right now, why not have the state align with the city to make sure that the policies and procedures are on point right now? Why wait and then, follow up with some situations when you could have done it now and be in order? Because, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having somebody like the state to come in and say, this is how you do business properly, and make sure that the monies for the city of Ferguson are used in order?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we don't have a whole lot of time left, but we got a number of questions having to do with, I guess, some important issues. We're not going to be able to get to them all, but I'm going to mention 2 or 3 of them in this one question, and maybe you can tackle it. So we will start with Mr. KASOFF. And the question has to do with eliminate, what would you say to go about eliminating illegal dumping that occurs along Payne Avenue between North Harvey and Marguerite? And what would you suggest to be done about slum landlords and rental properties, which this resident sees as a problem? Rental properties. So illegal dumping and slumlords and too many rental properties.
And answer all that in 60 seconds. Okay. Well, first of all, I know the lady who sent in the illegal dumping question because she called me first, and I got the city out there. We cleaned it up, and the city's going to put technology in place to catch these dumpers. And
Okay.
I'm just going to leave it at that because we're not going to stand for that here in St. Louis. Now, as far as bad landlords, and by the way, bad owner occupants, people forget about that. We need a rigorous exterior appearance compliance regime here. I want a city inspector to walk, not drive, walk down every street of our city at least once a year, and not to pick on every single person, but get the low-hanging fruit. We all know the bad house on the block that's dragging everybody else down. Let's have the city inspectors out there and find those things so we can stabilize our neighborhoods and get them looking better. And let me tell you, it's not always a renter.
Oh, okay, thank you. Moving on, Miss Covington.
Okay, so with the rental property and the bad landlords, I guess it would do with the city inspector getting people out. We are, like he said, we all see the houses that are a problem. So it's not like it's a secret. With the illegal dumping, I honestly don't have an answer for you. This whole month on the weekends, I've been picking up trash, and I can go back to that same spot the next week, and the trash is back there. I could say give them a ticket, have them come pick up the trash, but we know about how that will work. So I think as a council, we all put our ideas together and maybe we can come up with something that's worthwhile.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Noah.
Okay, well, the city is putting measurements in place, like Nick stated, Mr. KASOFF stated, the technology in place and lighting in those areas that people continuously dump in, that we see like in Ward 3, on Laganda, on Lorette. As far as the derelict housing situation, first, a lot of these houses are on the post-third property list. So we have to continue to promote our property restoration program, and then when it goes to the landlords, we do have to enforce, but then that goes back to, again, equipping our code enforcement with the tools and resources that they need so that they can be effective in their position. Again, we're revitalizing the community development department and putting staff in place that are knowledgeable and have the tools and resources that they need so that they can enforce and educate residents on the proper ordinances that are in place so that we can clean up our city as well as.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see, Ms. Nelson.
So rental properties, again, accountability for me, holding the slumlords, these developers that come in and buy up the properties. We're not holding anybody accountable, and we need to do better by that, holding them accountable for that. The city inspectors, I'd like to make sure that we have certified code enforcers, inspectors who are doing their jobs and not just doing different areas where they're not seeing the dumping and different things going on. So, I mean, there are lots of areas in Ferguson that really should be looked at by our code enforcement and not just looking at folks with a flat tire or something like that when we have a huge issue with illegal dumping in our city. And that needs to definitely be focused on. So lighting, of course, and again, the city is putting things in place to help with all of that. But I'd like to see it done and done right.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams.
As far as illegal dumping, I remember when I went to City Hall to get some permits, they had like big dumpsters back there, recycle bins. I think we need to do that every month and have people come to City Hall and dump it off. Or if people don't have transportation, give us a call and have someone go out there and pick up your mattress and bring it back and throw it in that dumpster. I think that will resolve it, because if you clean it up, it's going to be back there again. When people have a place they know they can take their trash for free. So I don't know if those dumpsters was a one-time thing, but that should be something permanent, because you're going to pay either way, cleaning it up or paying for the dumpster monthly. As far as the rental houses, the Ferguson Neighborhood Improvement Program is great, but it's only for homeowners. I think possibly that should be extended to renters, because you know the landlord might be a slumlord, but the renter might want to live in a nice place, but monetarily they might not have the money to do so. So that's something that should be looked into. And then for
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ashby.
The trash dumping has really been a focus of City Hall for the last couple of months. And as Nick alluded to, right, we've talked about, and we are implementing better lighting. We're putting cameras in certain places. And we're also looking at the residents who are not taking their trash service. So City Manager Hampton and the staff are really doing a great job of identifying those areas that are at risk and coming up with different strategies specific to that area to try and address that. On the housing of the derelict houses, we have done a ton of stuff over the last year. We're actually using the Ferguson Dangerous Properties Initiative to tear down derelict homes. We've changed how we bill for nuisance abatement for when the city mows lawns. And we're using Missouri law called the Missouri Abandoned Homes Act to try and take possession of homes when they're only 1 year behind in taxes. So really, the city is, in the last year, started a lot of initiatives with a specific purpose of, excuse my language, putting the fear of God in the absentee landlords that are pulling down our city.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Brooks.
Yes, I agree with a lot of things that people have said about having more lighting, having cameras in place, and not just having them in place, but actually having a team, some kind of task force to actually monitor the cars and look at license plates to be able to know who the people are. As far as the whole thing of landlords, I know I've always screamed about those post third party properties, which are mainly owned by a whole huge portion is owned by the city of Ferguson. Not only that, we're talking about people that are able to purchase land. Why allow a corporation or anybody to be able to come into Ferguson and buy things and not have some stipulations to where before you touch that piece of property, you're going to maintain it? Yeah, they had some implements done by saying that you had to have local representation, but there has to be some stipulations to where something is taken from them if they don't get it within a certain amount of days or months or whatever. Because
okay,
I live around.
Thank you very much, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, ma'am. So to start this calendar year, St. Louis County amended 607-140 of the St. Louis County Waste Code. And what that did for unincorporated St. Louis County now, all residential trash bills have to be in the name of the property owner. And we did this because what we've seen in unincorporated St. Louis County is most of the lack of trash subscription, the illegal dumping, the stockpiling of waste where people live. It was coming from our rental properties. And what this did was the bad debt turned off a lot of haulers to where pricing doubled in unincorporated North County. And so this change will also affect every municipality in St. Louis County. But we also put in a provision that stated you would not have to comply with this new ordinance until your current contract for service expires. So we're hoping this will curb a lot of the illegal dumping, because if people have active trash service, they're less likely to take it and dump it up the road or in that vacant house.
Okay,
Also,
thank you.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay. Wow, we're sort of at the end here. We're going to move on to our closing statements. You have 2 minutes. And I think we started with Ms. Nelson first. This time we'll start with Ms. Noah and go backwards. So Ms. Noah, if you would, 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wilkerson. Ferguson again, I'm Councilwoman NAQUITTIA Noah. I have served and represented the Ward 3 Ferguson community with dedication, leadership, and vision. I have worked with the mayor, council, city managers, and staff to improve and engage Ferguson, responding to residents' concerns in a timely manner, providing resolutions, utilizing social media, and emailing Ferguson residents Ferguson news to keep residents engaged and informed. Also, door-to-door outreach. We have worked together to hire a dedicated and knowledgeable city manager and police chief. Efficient and effective staff are crucial to moving Ferguson forward. Leading and consistently attending neighborhood meetings, establishing and reestablishing neighborhood associations, supporting and promoting the Ferguson business community, the Ferguson Human Rights Commission, and the Ferguson Parks as the council liaison. The countless community cleanups. We have partnered with Open Space Council. After the flood of 22, we cleaned a large area of the extension of Mainline Creek near Elkin off of South Florissant Road in Ward 3. We went door-to-door checking on residents, distributing disinfectant and information regarding FEMA and SBA. The council has worked diligently to bring Ferguson to the place of progression that we are at now. The advancements that have been made with the consent decree, such as municipal court reform. I can assure you all that we don't want to go backwards and impede the progress in motion that is occurring now. If anyone needs a ride to the poll on Tuesday, April the 2nd, to vote for the re-election of Councilwoman Noah to continue to serve and represent Ward 3 Ferguson, I would appreciate all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Covington, your 2-minute closing statement.
Okay, so I have been campaigning for a while now, and I feel like you guys have heard the same thing I've been saying a bunch of different times. I want to point out that I'm a doer. I don't talk a lot, as you notice, even during this time. I like to get the action done, not go back and forth. So I will hope you will elect me for change and leadership, and I will see you April 2nd.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. KASOFF.
Well, I became a landlord here a year after I moved here back in 2006. Ferguson has required that the trash bill be in the name of the landlord all the way back since 2006. And we've always had an ordinance requiring that you maintain trash service. The problem is enforcement. I've looked at thousands and thousands of Ferguson municipal court records over the last year, and I haven't seen a single person cited for not having trash service. And I know for a fact that there's even at least one person serving on a high-profile Ferguson board who didn't have trash service until just a few months ago. So we're not enforcing that law. Then we've got an 80% failure to appear rate in our court. So if you wonder why you have people out there doing crazy things, they know there's no consequences. Passing another law doesn't help that. We need to orient our community and our city government toward dealing with the low-hanging fruit. We need to deal with the worst houses that are dragging down the neighborhoods. We need to deal with the fastest drivers. We need to make sure that contractors that are remodeling houses don't dump their construction debris in other places. And we need to up the quality of life in Ferguson. Quality of life and the quality of customer service at City Hall can either draw people in or push people away. Right now, it's pushing people away. We need to change that. John Hampton's been the city manager for a year now. He's doing a great job, and I know there's great things to come in Ferguson. I want to be a part of them with your vote for Ward 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Franklin.
So I'm excited. I'm eager about this election Tuesday. I'm ready to serve my community, the community I'm raising my family in, the community that I work in. And I feel like that I'm most qualified based off of my long career in public service. I know how government is supposed to operate and function. I have a long history of working with various individuals from all types of walks of life. I worked closely with our county council at large, from North County all the way down to South. I've also worked with our current county executive's office to resolve issues as they arise. I manage contracts, and I think I have a knack for just reaching people from various walks of life. And I want to bring that to the city of Ferguson and do my part in moving Ferguson forward and maintaining our infrastructure, and just also mentoring and letting our youth know and see me as an example of what you can accomplish, when you put your mind towards something good. That's all I got. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Brooks.
Good evening. Once again, I want to thank you all for allowing us to have this platform to express to our community how much it means to me to be able to be a public servant. Throughout my time in serving in the community, like I said, once again, allowing us to have access to public transportation, allowing us to be able to have, allowing us to be able to have inclusion, diversity, equity, and I'm so sorry, allowing us to be able to
take your time.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I want to thank you all for this. And like I said, to be able to have diversity, equity, and inclusion, it means a lot, because to have that consent decree, and like I said, once again, we did not need an overseer, but at this point, if we don't put that consent decree in place, we will be back at square one. We also need some infrastructure work done for the flooding that's going on to houses that's causing people to lose their value of their homes. We need to make sure that we are safe in our communities by being involved, and also having cameras, having the service that we need from our fully staffed police department. And also, we need to be able to reach out to our school systems to make sure that our parents are vital assets in our children's educational success. Like I said, please reach out, support me, be able to be your city council person on April 2nd, because like I said, I'm a doer. And as you see, I don't mind putting my boots on the ground to make a change in Ferguson.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ashby.
Well, to the league and to the neighborhood association and the library and to all the residents who have participated in this. My wife and I, we love Ferguson. We love it here. We love the people. We love the housing. We love the opportunity. As you, many of you know, my wife loves the pets. We love Ferguson. And it really is just a great community. And, and we've had some rough times, but think about how different Ferguson is now than it was a year ago. Just over a year ago, we lost the city manager because of meddling from the city council. Just over a year ago, we were less than 50% staffed on our police force. Just over a year ago, we had rampant problems with derelict homes in our neighborhood. Think about the progress we have made over the last year. We have a great new city manager with a 25-year history in Ferguson that loves our town, and he literally has spent the last 10 years thinking about what he would fix if he was in charge. We cannot risk him. We need to support John Hampton wherever possible. We need to support Chief Doyle wherever possible. We have finally turned the corner in Ferguson. We are finally making progress, but we need to be aware that further progress comes from continuity. We do not need change right now. We need progress. We need to keep on doing the things we've started, keep on with the initiatives, keep on supporting our city manager, keep on supporting our police chief, and pull together as a community. I truly believe that more connects us than divides us. I truly believe that it must work for all of us, or it doesn't work for any of us. Since I've been on the council, I have done my best to use productive disagreement to find common ground I'm hoping you will elect me so I can continue to represent the interests of Ferguson and of the Second Ward. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
All right, so like I said many times, I don't claim to be a politician. You're not voting for me, you're voting for Ferguson Ward 1. Sometimes change can be good. I was not raised in Ferguson. I was not born here, but that's not a bad thing. You can get a fresh set of new ideas and new eyes on situations. Originally, I'm from North Carolina. I went to school in Atlanta. And so I might see things a little differently than other people that are born and raised here, but change is not a bad thing. Also, I'll use common sense, fact-based reasoning. I don't have any of the baggage or the division from the past. I've only been in Ferguson a year and a half, and my campaign manager and other people around me sometimes don't tell me that because they want me to have an even kill. They don't want me to be steered to one side or the other. So, like I said, you're not voting for me. You're voting for Ferguson Ward 1. And my main thing is I want the crime to go down. I know how to solve that issue. It's getting to these young people. Like when you have a 401k or a stock, when you invest money into that, later on it pays dividends. So if we invest in these kids right now, later on, they'll be lawyers or doctors, or they'll have a trade. And so you'll have a population of Ferguson that has degrees or they're skill based. Then the companies like Boeing and Lockheed Martin will set up shop here, high paying jobs, and you have a tax base from these companies. But it all starts with these kids. And I know it's not going to be overnight, but they're not stealing because it's fun. They're hungry. They don't have money. It's out of necessity. So we need to give these kids opportunities and education so the crime will stop.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Nelson.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkerson, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Jesky Park, and everyone involved in us having this forum tonight. I appreciate that. Again, I'm Councilwoman PHEDRA Nelson for Ward 1. I want to continue to serve my community. I want to continue to work with the mayor and my fellow colleagues, continue to work and help support the city manager and the police chief. Again, us giving them time to get things done. I really want to make sure that those things happen. Making sure that the community is engaged. I think that's a big portion of what we really need to be doing, making sure that the community is engaged and to really move Ferguson forward and make it a city that works for everybody. We're going to continue. I want to continue the progress that I've started. And I think that working with the council and the mayor has been a great asset to doing that and the start of that. So I want to make sure that the city of Ferguson, which I've lived here for 23 years, and I like to tell people I live, work, and play right here in the city, that it continues to be a city that works for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that ends our debate. Mr. Allen, did you want to make any closing remarks?
Louise, I don't think Mr. Allen is on anymore.
Okay. Well, Amy, thank you for your help. Want to thank the candidates. Ferguson has a wealth of great candidates, and they should do your city council proud. And the League of Women Voters encourages everybody to remember to come out and vote April 2nd. If you need information about voting and absentee balloting and all that kind of thing, go to vote411.org. Go to that website and you'll get information. You can also contact the league office if you need help. So Does anybody have anything else to say at this time?
I would like to
Very
just
much,
jump
everybody.
in.
Sorry.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thank you to Rick Allen and the Ferguson Neighborhood Associations. And for anybody who's still on YouTube watching us, if you know of people in the community who could not watch the candidate forum tonight, it will be available still on the Ferguson Library's YouTube channel. So please share the link with them.
Okay, did you hear that? It will be on the Ferguson Library's YouTube channel. Okay, that's great. Well, everybody, have a good evening and best of luck to everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
Good night.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Oh, our
opportunity.
pleasure. It's been our
Thank you.
pleasure. Okay.
Right.